what makes this a great spot is you can see the barren ranges, you can see the beach. It's north facing, although north is a bit further that way. You can be in the shade of the peppermints in this spot. Looking due east, that's where the wind comes from in summer, and it'll drive you crazy. So you've got to keep all those trees as a windbreak. That's really important. It's also fire prone though as well, so it's a matter of dealing with the bushfire attack level presented by that vegetation and keeping the wind protection at the same time. So that's a design issue in itself. To the west, we've got to be careful that it doesn't open up to see all the houses that are just revealed when we get behind these trees. They're not so bad looking at them during the day, but at night it won't give you that feeling of seclusion. You'll see all the lights on. Of course, you can walk down this track here and get fantastic views, and that's where you're going to sit in summer and in winter and really enjoy those views of the beach and the sound of the ocean. So the spot where I'm standing is Gerard's old campsite, one of his actual tent sites, which is just down from the gravel turnaround. It's a great spot because in winter you've got the southwesterlies, and we can see from the tree here what the wind is doing as far as pruning the tops of the peppermints. So you've got a really good windbreak from the southwesterlies there. Now my first thought here is that the house sits on a contour running along here, so it sits and runs right along the contour. This contour here, it'll run right along here. That might mean taking out this peppermint tree here. Well, that would mean taking it out. So that means you've got the gravel turnaround, you'd have a retaining wall, and you'd come down, and really important, the house, the floor level sits as close to the ground level as possible. That's so you can be looking through the understory of the peppermints and see the ocean and still get that wonderful shadow of the peppermints in summer and in winter casting onto the concrete slab. Now some of these peppermints Gerard has coppiced and thinned out, so this one we can see through really well because he's thinned all that out. So if we imagine doing that to these peppermints as well, which he hasn't touched, then from even back in this spot you're going to have really good views of the ocean through the trees, which is just magical, absolutely magical. You don't need to have uninterrupted views of the ocean from a site like this. This is really, really magical, this spot, because you can see the beach and the ocean through the trees, and you will just love living here on this spot right here. This is the spot. The house itself would be really, really simple. It can be simple because you've got the northern aspect, meaning the winter sun can come in. You can be sitting here in winter with the sun on your lap, looking out at the ocean, listening to the ocean. You can have the doors open because there's no wind, but the wind is all blocked from behind you by the trees and the rear of the house. And it's just it's perfect. It's a perfect setup. This is what makes this block one of the best south of Perth. Really, really magnificent. To have a north-facing, wind-protected site with ocean views and mountain views is extraordinary. I'm sure you realise that. There's only really one other house that's got what you've got, and that's the Broadbents, your neighbours. Personally, I think this is as good a site, if not better. So it's really, really important to maximise the site, and the architecture has got to be really refined. It's got to be simple, and it has to be perfectly positioned for everything to work. It's not hard to do, it's just got to be done with care. So as I said, this is my first impressions. This tree here between the turnaround and this camping spot of Gerard's would go in this scheme, and that's simply because of the necessary width of the house, and that's considering that these trees immediately here in the foreground, this one here and these over here, and of course these ones over here for the windbreak towards the east, would all stay. So they're the trees, that's the row of trees effectively that you're looking at. They're roughly on a single contour line. The house is then the next level back, so you've got a veranda space where the sun is coming through, so you've got, let's call it an eaves space, so not so much a typical veranda, but you have an eaves overhang to control the sun in summer, and then a simple single room width to the building. As soon as you go double width, it's going to, I think, have too much kind of need for excavation. So a single width, a long narrow pavilion, and the circulation can then be used on the actual under eaves space, the veranda space. That will save a lot of money, actually, putting a lot of the circulation effectively on the outside of the building. You can do that in a site like this because you're completely out of the winter wind and you've got the sun in, and so on. So this is the kind of site you can do that in. There's not many sites you can do that with. So that'll give you a huge cost saving, using as much of that veranda space, that under eaves space, as possible for circulation. And that's something I've done with other houses in more wind exposed sites. So yeah, extraordinary site. As I said, that's my first impressions. So I look forward to meeting you in December.